don't matter how much you want to spin it, don't matter how much you want to deny it, the PlayStation 5 Pro is clearly a money grab by Sony. Now, it's very clear it's a money grab by Sony because you do not see a significant difference when it comes to visuals or performance on the console. So, for example, the PlayStation 5 Pro version of any game does not look significantly or run significantly better compared to the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 Pro. I have been saying this from day one. If you are spending $800 for a console, it should never be outperformed by a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X any day. That should never happen. But these ponies have been saying, no, Jay, you are capping, you are biased. That's why you are saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro isn't worth the price. Although I would have shown them clips like this.
No shot, you're already having performance issues.
Can I explain? I feel like you ain't got no choice.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the point of a PS5 Pro when your performance is mid. That was a bar.
Dog, it's not mid, it's just, we just got a few bugs that we gotta patch. Imagine patching a whole console. You know what, PlayStation, you're the first for a lot of different things. You know what? You're the soldier boy of consoles.
Okay, having a few bugs is one thing, but you're making these games unplayable. No, that's cap, that's where you wrong. You can still play them.
It just don't really look the best. It's so sad, but it make a lot of sense though. You do make sense, you know?
See, people always try to exaggerate.
Was he the first to get hacked?
Look, just because you flopped on Concord doesn't mean you have to take everyone else's money and put it in failed experiments. I'm pretty sure people rather have the 3 ranks up.
What about clips like this?
I've saved up some money and I was thinking of getting the PS5 Pro.
No, please, bro, do not. The PS5 Pro is a waste of money.
Oh, really? Why?
They are asking $700 for the graphics equivalent of an RTX 2080.
Is that bad?
Yes, that graphics card is 2 generations behind and goes for about $150 on eBay.
What?
The PS5 Pro is only costing Sony $400 to build. They're assuming that console owners are stupid, so they'll be able to make $300 on every sale. This is a scam.
What should I do?
Well, I recommend keeping your base PS5 in order to play Sony exclusives on launch, and assuming that you already have $700 saved up, instead of upgrading to the PS5 Pro, just save up another $300 and get a pre-built PC instead.
$1,000 for a PC?
Yes, for $1,000 you get the current gen RTX 4060 Ti and a Ryzen 5 7600X, which is a way better deal than a PS5 Pro.
And of course, we can't forget this.
Depending upon what you want to do with the PlayStation 5 Pro, maybe you don't need to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. If you want to get 60 FPS in every game, don't get a PS5 Pro. I don't think that's what it's supposed to do.
I told you guys, man. I told you guys. It's not only me saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro is not worth the price. But I mean, it's your money, do what you want. But today we have another opportunity to see whether the PlayStation 5 Pro is worth the money. You see, today we are going to see how Doom, the Dark Ages, run on the PlayStation 5 Pro, the Xbox Series X, and also the PlayStation 5. And we'll see whether the PlayStation 5 Pro version is worth, buying the console. So sit back, relax, and let's get it.
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. So before we continue the video, guys, I am on the road to 5,000 subscribers. So if this type of content interests you, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. When you do that, you get some of the best Xbox content this side of the internet, and also we sprinkle some Nintendo news here and there. But the focus is always the Sony pony sword, because these ponies need discipline. So this is what I bring. I am a disciplinarian for these ponies. So do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button today. Now let's get back to the video. So as most of you all know, Doom the Dark Ages would be releasing worldwide on the 15th. That is just about 5 or 4 days from now. And it's a game that a lot of persons have been anticipating, and a lot of persons are looking forward to playing this game. Well, it just so happened that the reviews are out and this game is an excellent game. So far, Doom the Dark Ages has gotten 86 on Metacritic, which is an excellent score for this style of game. The question is, seeing that this game is releasing on every platform, which platform is the best platform to play it on? Well, the guys there at Digital Foundry has done us the favor to look at how this game performs and how it looks on 3 different platforms. It is the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Pro, and the Xbox Series X and S. But today we are focusing on how it compares to the Xbox Series X. Now listen carefully, as the guys there from Digital Foundry really tells us how this game performs on those platforms. Listen.
In larger levels. Performance is more or less perfect in my testing. Even in intense gameplay, we're looking at a locked 60 FPS update without dips. It's possible the game could drop frames, of course, especially in later sections, but in my gameplay I only saw a clean 60 FPS update. There do appear to be duplicate frames on camera cuts though in cutscenes, which is a common artifact across the consoles.
So it seems like Oliver from Digital Foundry is saying that he had a near perfect experience when it comes to performance on the Xbox Series X. Now let me repeat that for the ponies in the back. Digital Foundry Oliver is saying that he had a near perfect experience when it comes to performance, having a locked 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X. Wow, wowzers. Let's continue and let's see how this performance review continues.
Between the 2 consoles, expect more or less identical shadows, textures, distant LODs, and ray tracing detail. The FOV slider actually does appear to work consistently on the PlayStation consoles, however, though the sharpening slider remains ineffective. Image quality between the 2 machines is again similar. Most scenes look very close, though Series X is on net a touch sharper. Interestingly, the PS5 also appears to use a form of VRS, as it has distinctive blocky artifacts in the image, though this is presumably software VRS. Unfortunately, the omnipresent film grain makes it a little tougher to see some of the finer details. Resolutions are pretty similar to Series X in demanding content at around 1080p, and again it tops out around 1440p, but I think PS5 typically comes in a little lower than Series X.
So that's no surprise there. We expected the Series X to outperform the PlayStation 5 visually and performance-wise, hands down. That's no surprise there. But let's continue.
Performance is a little curious. Here, the PS5 drops frames regularly during demanding encounters.
Oh my god, this is just such a dumpster fire.
Our 2 stress points in levels 2 and 6, and during some less challenged fights as well. The overall framerate fluidity is lower than Series X by a good margin, and actually feels a bit lower than Series S. Most gameplay still flies by at 60, but it's definitely in the 50s more often than I'd like to see, especially considering the impeccable performance of its Microsoft counterpart. But unlike Series S, the PlayStation consoles don't tear at the top of the screen when they do drop frames. PS5 Pro is a fairly straightforward upgrade over the base console. Expect a more or less total match in visual settings with PS5. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though some selective settings bumps might have been interesting. Instead, image quality gets boosted somewhat with a new 1800p target. It looks a bit sharper than the PS5's 1440p target, and the size of the VRS blocks is substantially reduced. More demanding scenes take you down closer to 1296p or so.
What's that? What was that? Don't be shocked, I'll tell you what that is. That is the so-called almighty PlayStation 5 Pro dropping to 1296p. Yes! Doom the Dark Ages has brought the PlayStation 5 Pro to its knees. 1296p?
So, TAA treatment appears similar to the other machines, so there's no PSSR or similar upsampling in effect here. This is probably one of the less exciting Pro upgrades we've seen in recent AAA fare. Frame rates are generally good here, with a stable 60 FPS in most content, but those two particularly demanding combats still provoke minor frame rate dips, which isn't ideal. It's no major concern and performance is better than PS5 by a good margin, but Series X remains king.
Wait, Oliver, what did you just say?
Series X remains king.
Wait, Oliver, could you say it one more time so the ponies could know that Sony just robbed them of $800?
Series X remains king.
So there you have it. Digital Foundry is saying that the Series X is king of running Doom the Dark Ages. Now this is surprising because the PlayStation community would have just purchased the PlayStation 5 Pro, a 2-year-old console or a 1.5-year-old console, but yet still we are still seeing instances of the Xbox Series X outperforming the PlayStation 5 Pro. And it's not just me seeing it, it's not just, other YouTubers seeing it. We even have consumers in the comment sections in the Digital Foundry videos saying this. Swanee Joe commented and said, "I'm glad I didn't waste money on a PlayStation 5 Pro. Such a pointless machine." Bangya said, "So Xbox Series X for the win, and they won on Game Pass? Mind blown." Checkmate Stallion said, "Are people this surprised that even the Pro performance when the game is bigger in scale than previous Dooms and has RT by default with thousands of enemies on screen, all while being the best looking shooter on the market right now? If you expected better from the Pro, which is only marginally better than the PlayStation 5, you're gaslighting yourself like no tomorrow."
Damn! I'm sorry.
BT Maverick says, "Series X remains king, and it's too late for me to pronounce that name," says, "Drops on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro are not acceptable when it's a solid 60 FPS on the Series X. Microsoft and Bethesda should expect to see the results of this in sales. The least they can do is to release a patch as soon as possible." Why would they? I mean, this runs wonderfully on the Series X, and we all know that id Studio don't miss. id Studio pour their life, pour their strength into making any kind of game, and it normally does it well. So let me hear what you thought about this. It's very clear that the Xbox Series X is punching above its weight when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it is succeeding in performing better than the PlayStation 5 Pro, not only in this game but in many other games, as you would have seen in my other videos. And this is something that should not happen when it is you are spending close to $800 for the PlayStation 5 Pro. But let me hear what you thought about everything that was said today. Let me hear if it is you think that, buying the PlayStation 5 Pro for $800 is worth it. No disk drive, no stand, and games just has a marginal, upgrade. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment sections below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.